Louis-Antoine, Comte de Bougainville was a French admiral and explorer, a contemporary of the British explorer James Cook. He took part in the 7 Years' War in North America and the American Revolutionary War against Britain. Bougainville later gained fame for his expeditions, including circumnavigation of the globe in a scientific expedition, the first recorded settlement on the Falkland Islands, and voyages into the Pacific Ocean. Bougainville Island of Papua New Guinea was named for him. Early career. Bougainville was born in Paris, the son of a notary, on either 11 of the 12th of November 1729. In early life, he studied law, but soon abandoned the profession. In 1753, he entered the army in the Corps of Musketeers. At the age of 25 he published a treatise on integral calculus, as a supplement to de L'Hôpital's treatise, Des Infiniment Petits. In 1755 he was sent to London as secretary to the French embassy, where he was made a member of the Royal Society. 7 Years' War. In 1756 Bougainville was stationed in Canada as captain of dragoons and aide-de-camp to the Marquis de Montcalm. He took an active part in the capture of Fort Oswego in 1756 and the 1757 Battle of Fort William Henry. He was wounded in 1758 at the successful defense of Fort Carillon. He sailed back to France the following winter, under orders from the Marquis to obtain additional military resources for the colony. During this crossing, he continued to learn about the ways of the sea, skills that would later serve him well. Having distinguished himself in the war against Britain, Bougainville was rewarded with the Cross of St. Louis and promoted to colonel. When he returned to Canada the following year, he had gained few supplies. The metropolitan officials had decided that, when the house is on fire, one does not worry about the stables. During the pivotal year of 1759, Bougainville participated in the defense of fortified Quebec City, the capital of New France, with a small elite troop under his command, among which were the Grenadiers and the Volontaires à Cheval. He patrolled the north shore of the St. Lawrence River. Upstream from the city, he prevented the British several times from landing and cutting communications with Montreal. He did not have sufficient time, however, to rally his troops and attack the British rear when they successfully ascended the Plains of Abraham and attacked Quebec on September 13. Following the death of the Marquis de Montcalm and the fall of Quebec on the 18th of September, after the colonel's aborted attempt to resupply the besieged city, Bougainville was dispatched to the Western Front by his new commanding officer, the Chevalier de Coutevies. He attempted to stop the British advance from his entrenchments at Îlot-Noix. He was among the officers who accompanied Coutevies to St. Helens Island off Montreal for the last French stand in North America before the general capitulation of 1761. Of the war, Bougainville wrote in his journal, "It is an abominable kind of war. The very air we breathe is contagious of insensibility and hardness." Shipped back to Europe along with the other French officers, all deprived of military honors by the victors, Bougainville was prohibited by the terms of surrender from any further active duty against the British. He spent the remaining years of the 7 Years' War as a diplomat, helping to negotiate the Treaty of Paris. Under this, France ceded most of New France east of the Mississippi River to the British Empire. The first French circumnavigation, Isles Malouines settlement. After the peace, the French decided to colonize the Isles Malouines. These islands were at the time almost unknown. At his own expense, Bougainville undertook the task of resettling Acadians who had been deported to France by the British because of the refusal to sign loyalty oaths. On the 15th of September 1763, Bougainville set out from France with the frigate L'Aigle and the sloopless Fins. This expedition included the naturalist and writer Antoine-Joseph Petit, the priest and chronicler accompanying the expedition, together with the engineer and geographer Louis-Antoine de Bougainville. The expedition arrived in late January 1764 in French Bay. They landed at Port Louis, named after King Louis XV. A formal ceremony of possession of the islands was held on the 5th of April 1764, after which Bougainville and Petit returned to France. Louis XV formally ratified possession on the 12th of September 1764. Although the French colony did not number more than 150 people, for financial motivations and diplomatic reasons, Bougainville was ordered by the French government to dismantle his colony and sell it to the Spanish. Bougainville received 200,000 francs in Paris and an additional 500,000 francs in Buenos Aires. Spain agreed to maintain the colony in Port Louis, thus preventing Britain from claiming title to the islands. Spain had claimed dominion before the French settlement in association with its colonies on the mainland. On the 31st of January 1767 at Rio de la Plata, Bougainville met Don Felipe Ruiz Puente, commanding the frigate La Esmeralda and La Libre and future governor of Islas Malvinas, to transfer possession and evacuate the French population. Bougainville wrote, "It was not before 1766 that the English sent a colony to settle in Port de la Croisade, which they had named Port Egmont, and Captain McBride, of the Jason frigate, came to our settlement the same year, in the beginning of December. He pretended that these parts belonged to His Britannic Majesty, threatened to land by force if he should be any longer refused that liberty, visited the governor, and sailed away again the same day." Circumnavigation. In 1766, Bougainville received from Louis XV permission to circumnavigate the globe. He would become the 14th navigator, and the first Frenchman, to sail around the world. Completion of his mission bolstered the prestige of France following its defeats during the 7 Years' War. This was the first expedition to circumnavigate the globe with professional naturalists and geographers aboard. Bougainville left Nantes on the 15th of November 1766 with 2 ships, Buis and the Etoile. This was a large expedition, with a crew of 214 aboard Buis and 116 aboard Etoile. Included in the party was the botanist Philibert Commercon, who named the flower Bougainvillea, and his valet. The ship's sergeant later revealed this person as Jean Barré, possibly Commercon's mistress. She would become the first woman known to circumnavigate the globe. Other notable people on this expedition were Count Jean-François de Galaup de la Pérouse, the astronomer Pierre-Antoine Véron, the surgeon of Buis, Dr. Louis-Claude Laporte is the surgeon of the Etoile Drive, François Vives, the engineer and cartographer aboard the Etoile, Charles Routier de Romainville, and the writer and historian Louis-Antoine Staroda. Saint-Germain, Tahiti. He saw islands of the Tuamotu group on the following the 22nd of March. On the 2nd of April saw the peak of Mahesha and visited the island of Otahi shortly after. He narrowly missed becoming the discoverer. A previous visit and claim was made by British explorer Samuel Wallis in HMS Dolphin less than a year previously. Bougainville claimed the island for France and named it New Cythera. His expedition left Tahiti and sailed westward to southern Samoa and the New Hebrides. Then, on sighting Espiritu Santo, turned west, still looking for the southern continent. On June 4 he almost ran into heavy breakers and had to change course to the north and east. He had almost found the Great Barrier Reef. He sailed through what is now known as the Solomon Islands that, due of the hostility of the people there, he avoided. He named Bougainville Island for himself. The expedition was attacked by people from New Ireland, so the French expedition made for the Moluccas. At Batavia, they received news of Wallis and Carteret, who had preceded Bougainville in discovering Tahiti. Returned to France. On the 16th of March 1769, the expedition completed its circumnavigation and arrived at St. Malo. It had lost only 7 of its 330 men, an extremely low level of casualties. This result was considered a credit to the enlightened management of the expedition by Bougainville. The legend begins. Voyage Auto du Monde. In 1771, Bougainville published his travel log from the expedition under the title of Voyage Auto du Monde, par la frégate La Boudeuse et la Flûte Oil. The book describes the geography, biology and anthropology of Argentina, Patagonia, Tahiti and Indonesia. The book was a sensation, especially the description of Tahitian society. Bougainville described it as an earthly paradise where men and women lived in blissful innocence, far from the corruption of civilization. Bougainville's descriptions powerfully expressed the concept of the noble savage, influencing the utopian thoughts of philosophers such as Jean-Jacques Rousseau before the advent of the French Revolution. Denis Diderot's book Supplement au Voyage de Bougainville retells the story of Bougainville's landing on Tahiti, narrated by an anonymous reader to one of his friends. Diderot used his fictional approach, including a description of the Tahitians as noble savages, to criticize Western ways of living and thinking. American War of Independence. After an interval of several years, Bougainville again accepted a naval command and saw much active service between 1779 and 1782 during the American Revolutionary War. When France was as an ally of the rebels, he played a crucial part in the French victory at the Battle of the Chesapeake, which led to the eventual defeat of Great Britain. Battle of the Saints. In the memorable engagement at the Battle of the Saints, in which Admiral George Rodney defeated the Comte de Bougainville, who commanded the Auguste, succeeded in rallying 8 ships of his own division and bringing them safely into St. Eustace. He was promoted to chef d'escadre. When he re-entered the army, he was commissioned as Maréchal de Camp. After the Peace of 1783, Bougainville returned to Paris. He obtained the place of Associate of the Academy. He proposed a voyage of discovery to the North Pole but did not gain the support of the French government. Promotion and retirement. In 1787, he became a member of the French Academy of Sciences. He obtained the rank of vice-admiral in 1791. In 1794, having escaped from the Reign of Terror, he retired to his estate in Normandy. Returning to Paris, he was one of the founding members of the Bureau des Longitudes. In 1799, the consul Napoleon made him a senator. He died in Paris on August 31, 1811. He was married since 1781, and had 4 sons, including Hyacinthe de Bougainville, who all served in the French Army and Navy. Legacy and honors. Bougainville's name is given to the largest eastern island of Papua New Guinea, and to the strait which divides it from the island of Kwashiol. It is also applied to the strait between Malakolo and Espiritu Santo Islands of the New Hebrides group. In the Falklands, Port Louis and Isla Bougainville commemorate him. The genus of South American climbing shrubs with colorful bracts, Bougainvillea, is named after him. 1804, he was made a Grand Officier de la Légion d'Honneur in 1804. 1808, Napoleon gave him the title of Count. 13 ships of the French Navy have been named in his honor. See French ship Bougainville.